Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SYR. Continuing on with college football week 2, ACC matchup here, Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Let's do it.
Welcome to the SYR. The SYR. SYR. Hey, get the SYR.
All right, like I said, we got an ACC matchup here. Georgia Tech on the road at Syracuse. Syracuse short home dogs. Looks like plus 2.5 on most sports books. There's threes open as well. So plus 2.5, plus 3, depending on your sports book. We got a high total in this one. Up at 61, 61.5. I even see a 62. So yeah, they're expecting some points here. Let's go ahead and get into this one, and we'll start by taking a look at last year's matchup between these two teams. This game was in Atlanta. Georgia Tech got the win, 31-22 final score. And as far as what we've seen from the Georgia Tech offense so far this year, I'm going to play a clip from my Week 0 video where I broke down the Georgia Tech offense entering this season. Now, on the other side of the field, this is where it's all positive for Georgia Tech. I mean, this offense looks really good. First of all, they were good last year. Top 25 rushing attack in the country last year, 13th in yards per carry, 17th in rushing success rate, 18th in effective rush. They got the quarterback they want. He's back. Haynes King, 61.6% completions, over 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns through the air last year. Turnovers a bit of a problem, something he definitely needs to work on, but no question, this kid is talented. He can run, he can sling it. They got their guy in the backfield back, Jamal Haynes, star running back. What I really like about Jamal Haynes is he seemed to heat up as the season went on. You can see his splits right here. Last 6 games of the year, averaging 99 rushing yards per game, 6.6 yards per carry. And by the way, it's not like Georgia Tech's schedule got easy in the second half of the season at all. I mean, they went to Clemson. They played Georgia, the best team in the country, played North Carolina in there. So it wasn't that the schedule got easier. Jamal Haynes just seemed to figure it out. He was one of the better backs in the country second half of the year. So they got their quarterback back. They got their star running back back. Now, as far as their receivers, I don't really know much about their receiving core. They lost their tight ends. They had 2 tight ends they lost them both. But the offensive line, 4 of 5 starters back, and the 5th starter is a transfer from Middle Tennessee who started last year. So they bring 4 of 5 starters back and then bring in a starter with FBS starting experience to play the 5th spot. So the offensive line should only get better. As far as the Georgia Tech offense, nothing but thumbs up here. I mean, it was a great offense last year, should be even better this year. So no question, I was big on this Georgia Tech offense entering the season, and they haven't disappointed. Through 2 weeks, they have 415 yards rushing, 5.9 yards per carry as a team, 6 rushing touchdowns. Not to mention they ran all over this Syracuse team last year. 206 yards rushing, 5.6 yards per carry, 2 rushing touchdowns. We expect this rushing attack this year. I mean, it looks even better than it was last year. Haynes King definitely off to a more efficient start this year. 77.8% completions, 9.4 yards per attempt, a 166.6 passer rating. I mean, it's pretty much all thumbs up here for the Georgia Tech offense. And now they're matched up against a Syracuse defense that, like I mentioned last week, it's a brand new coaching staff there. Elijah Robinson is now the defensive coordinator. Their entire defensive line from last year is gone. Which is why on the show I said I liked Ohio plus 17.5. I expected Ohio to be able to run the football in that game, and they did. 255 yards on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry, 2 rushing touchdowns. So how can we count on Syracuse defense to make stops in this game against a Georgia Tech offense that looks to be banging on all cylinders? It's a tough sell for sure. I can pull up the home away splits from last year, no question. Syracuse played much tougher defense at home last year. I mean, significant splits. Now, I know last week's game against Ohio was also at home, but it was their first game with a new defensive coordinator, new defensive line. Not to mention, they probably had this one circled. I mean, a home game against the Ohio Bobcats. Now you got a conference game, so a little bit of a look-ahead spot for Syracuse. Look, by no means am I saying I expect Syracuse defense to make stops in this one. I'm not saying that. Georgia Tech's offense should be able to consistently move the chains. But let's not forget Haynes King from last year. What was his biggest problem? Turnovers. I mean, he had like 16 interceptions, I believe it was. We haven't seen it yet this year. So the first road conference game against the Syracuse defense that was pretty tough at home last year. They have a game under their belt with the new defensive coordinator. I think Haynes King's going to throw an interception or 2 in this game. Now, Georgia Tech's going to move the football. They're going to score points, but I think we're going to see a Haynes King turnover or 2 in this one. Now, on the other side of the ball, though, Georgia Tech's defense. Now, after that Week 0 game in Ireland, we were all like, oh shit, Georgia Tech's defensive front might be improved this year. Look what they did to Florida State overseas. But then we saw Florida State's offense in Week 1 against Boston College defense, which we know isn't going to be great. And now it's starting to look like, all right, maybe Florida State's offense is just that bad. And then what do we see from Georgia Tech's defense in week 1? They got crushed on the ground by Georgia State, which is a team that has a brand new coaching staff. That was their first game. 150 rushing yards, 5.2 yards per carry on this Georgia Tech defense. I know Georgia Tech covered the minus 21.5 in that game, but if you watched it, they didn't deserve to. Georgia State had 3 or 4 drives, first and goal inside the 10 where they came away with 0 points, and then one where they were held to a field goal. So Georgia Tech, look, they won the game comfortably, but that was a lot closer than the final score indicates. I don't like what I saw at all from the Georgia Tech defense last week. And Syracuse offensively looked pretty damn good. LaQuint Allen, their star running back from last year, he's back, 6.5 yards per carry and a touchdown catch in the first one. Syracuse offensive line, remember, 4 starters back on this unit. So we're looking at these run blocking numbers from last year. They don't look very good, but we're definitely expecting a much improved unit here for Syracuse. Kyle McCord, first game with his new team, looked excellent. Over 69% completions, 354 yards, 4 touchdowns, 174 passer rating. Now you can look at the passing numbers against Georgia Tech so far this season and say, oh, Kyle, Georgia Tech's got a solid pass defense though. 6.3 yards per pass attempt allowed, just 1 touchdown pass, 123.9 passer rating allowed. But here's the thing, DJU looks terrible, and they played Georgia State, so they haven't really played a quarterback that I trust yet, so these numbers mean nothing to me. I don't trust Georgia Tech's defense against the pass either. So as much as I think Georgia Tech's offense has the edge over Syracuse defense, I'm expecting to see a Haynes King turnover or 2, and on the other side of the ball, I think Syracuse is going to move the ball easily here at home, so they're giving us a full +3. I took it. Took Syracuse +3. I know on the live show on Monday, I said I was leaning towards Georgia Tech. This was before I looked at it. I bet this. I took Syracuse at the full +3. I'll also like the over. Should see a shitload of points in this one. So give me Syracuse +3 with a lean on the over at 61. If you want to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on open bets. You can see all my bets as well as everyone on the staff here. If you're interested, sign up for Sauce Network Plus. That also comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 and a trophy go to the winner every single week. So head over there if you're interested. Live shows, 4 p.m. Eastern Time weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Time weekends. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. We'll go through every single game. Let's have ourselves a nice week 2. Week 1 as a whole wasn't great to me, but I did cash that under in the Boston College Florida State game. So I ended with a W. So hopefully that translates into some momentum here in week 2. Remember to bet responsibly. Talk to you in the Discord.